Hi, this is Whitfield Athey, CEO of Delta Data, and I appreciate everybody joining us today on this webinar. We're really excited about this new product that we're going to walk through, and we're even more excited to hear from one of our clients about how they've been using the product and the value that they've found in it. Today, we're going to talk about a product called Intellicaster that supports finance and operations in their forecasting of flows. The Intellicaster is a unique product to the industry and is illustrative of our access to data that our clients use to provide insights into how their business functions and can help forecast how their business will function out in the future. Joining us on the call today is Paul Bosinger from Putnam Investments and Julie Malloy. Paul and Julie have been instrumental in guiding Delta Data with the development of this product, which is a close mirror to an existing process that Putnam supports for forecasting today in their shop. The value that they will talk about today is around how Delta Data's access to the data and ability to provide software to automate and provide consistency in this critical process is actually been implemented and how they see it going forward. Paul, if you could introduce yourself, and Julie, love to hear more about y'all.
Oh, thank you, Whitfield. Appreciate the invite to be here today. I work alongside with Julie in our finance department, and excited to go through the product today.
Hi, I'm Julie Malloy. I am a divisional CFO here at Putnam, and I have responsibility for our distribution organization. My team currently uses a number of Delta's products for both processing and for analytical purposes, and we're pretty excited about some of the additional functionality that we believe this company and its products will offer.
Thanks, Julie. On our side, Jason Davenport is joining us today to walk us through the tool. Jason is in a unique role here at Delta Data in that he's recently transitioned into our client and prospect facing sales organization as an outside salesperson. Previously, Jason spent 6 years running the asset management product division for Delta Data. I think I'll hand it over to Paul to give a bit of an overview on how Putnam's using this tool and what specific pain points and or value propositions they've found alleviated or found in the product going forward.
Well, thanks, Whitfield. I appreciate it. So I work in the finance group, and I've been kind of leading the effort to build out the relationship with Delta over the last 3 years, converting our fees to the system and then continually adding improvements and automation to our expense processing and reporting. My team has experienced a lot of efficiencies in the payment and reporting process as we've gone from manual spreadsheets to using Fee Manager and having the system process our calculations. So our focus has shifted now over the last year or so to reporting automation, like invoice automation, to reduce manual work and to focus more on analytics. So now we're working on automating invoices for expense payments from the time that they're received at Putnam all the way through the workflow steps. And we're going to continue to build out deal manager reporting to support our transfer agent as well as our trustee reporting. So additionally, in deal manager, we're automating sales and the AUM roll forward, which Julie will kind of go through that effort in more detail. But now that that's hit a point where it's automated, my team will be working with Delta to project out some of the expenses that we're calculating in Fee Manager today, the automation we've done over the last 3 years. So we'll leverage that roll forward automation, really working with and benefiting finance and our business units. So as you know, the agreements change and market conditions change, it'll put us in a position to more easily understand the financial impact. So we're kind of looking forward to taking the next step as we've automated all of our fees. We've really started to build out our reporting and deal manager. And now we've got the asset and sales roll forward automated. We'll add on another layer of value add for different areas in Putnam. So Julie, I'll turn it over to you to kind of run through the vision.
Thanks, Paul. Again, my name's Julie Malloy. I'm a divisional CFO with responsibility for Putnam's global distribution organization. In the materials, the deck touched upon some industry challenges associated with how data is used for reporting, forecasting, and other analytical purposes. Challenges that we here at Putnam are also facing. I'm going to give you some background on how and why we partnered with Delta to develop the solution. I'm going to talk a bit about who's going to benefit from that work and what the impacts will be on our business here. So we first began envisioning how we could best leverage some of the data and the functionality associated with Delta's product offerings while we were doing our due diligence on Delta's fee manager and deal manager applications. These are systems which, as Paul alluded to, we use for revenue sharing, sub-TA, and fund billing purposes. During our deep dive into system functionality, we inquired about how hypothetical modeling would work and how we could integrate sales, redemption, and asset assumptions into projections that could be produced by the system. And as we talked about this, the conversation evolved into how we would actually use a front end that Delta would build to feed all of our downstream systems. These systems are ones that we use for budgeting, for forecasting, and for corporate reporting purposes. We also viewed this front end as the single source of asset and flow data used for various forms of modeling, including all of our profitability analytics. So, if you think about who benefits, I know in our firm there are a number of beneficiaries of this information, as the information is used by our finance team, by the various business lines, by senior management, and ultimately our board of directors. And there are a number of benefits. Start with greater efficiency. This product is enabling us to streamline workflows and to reduce data compilation and input redundancies. As a result, we can make information available to end users for decision-making purposes in a much more expedient manner, whether it's in the form of reports or in the form of dashboards. The integration of the data into our systems and models means that my team will spend less time collecting information and more time on generating analytical insights. There's also enhanced accuracy and consistency of data. Having that single source of information means that our entire organization is working off the same set of asset and sales-based assumptions. We no longer have to worry about version control. And additionally, as a side benefit, from a control perspective, we have an excellent audit trail. As you will see in the demo, this robust tool can project flows and create asset roll forwards using either a top-down or a bottoms-up approach. We can enter either high-level assumptions or the most granular level of detail. At this point, the development is basically done. And we're really quite excited about using Delta's forecasting product. Paul already mentioned that one of our next steps is to use it to quantify the potential impact of changes to our revenue and sharing and sub-TA arrangements, and to project future expenses within the deal manager product. We have plans underway here at Putnam to have the tool feed into our downstream compensation and budget applications, as well as to integrate it into our firm's profitability models. Basically, we're taking an iterative approach, and we're going to continue to look for avenues to leverage what Delta has built in ways that can add value to our firm. So that's basically my take on the product, and at this point, I'm going to turn it back to Whitfield.
Julie, thank you so much for that overview, and I want to tell everybody on the call, it's been a great, year and a half we've been working with you guys. Y'all have really helped open our eyes to an opportunity here to help y'all and to help other clients of ours. And we're really excited not only on what we've delivered so far, but the roadmap that we're following y'all down as we go, and look forward as the tool evolves as well. But today we're going to take a look at where it is right now and what we're considering a production first version. And we're definitely going to open this up to questions at the end of the demo. You can use the chat feature in the Zoom meeting to send us questions directly, and we will find out, we'll just talk amongst ourselves on who's the best to answer at the end of the demo. Jason, I'll hand it back to you for the product demo.
Thank you, Whitfield. So before we jump right into the demo of the product, I just want to take a step back and kind of describe and focus on what a forecast is in our Intellicaster forecasting tool. What we are doing is we're taking historical assets that are fed to us at the end of each month with sales redemption numbers broken out by a number of different dimensions, including firm, fund, territory, and channel. In doing this, we now have historical benchmark to then go ahead and perform a baseline forecast based on just historical assets and historical trending alone. This baseline forecast then gives us a quick look at how we should expect our assets to look over a given time period in the future, just simply based on what's happened in the past. However, as you can see here, in a base forecast, we can drill into different lines of businesses, different channels, different territories, as well as firms or asset class to see exactly what took place during that time. However, we know that there's many things that happen over the course of the year or that we expect to happen over the future of the time period that we're forecasting for. With that, we build in the capabilities in the tool to put in what we call net flow scenarios. And what a net flow scenario is a very similar look at what we just saw, but it's going to show historical assets. And in the way we built the tool, we allow the end user or our clients to come in and actually update sales and redemption numbers based on what they saw in the past. So here's a look at what happened in 2019. And maybe in this case, we're going to perform a top-down approach. And I'll discuss in a second what top-down or bottom-up means. But maybe for the future in 2020, we expect that our average daily sales number is about 300 million, and our redemption rate is going to be about 22%. What this does is allow us to budget in our overall book of business exactly what we want to allocate for when we produce our forecast. However, we all know that there's other things that could change. Maybe a particular fund is going to do very well in the future, or a specific firm or asset class. So in that case, what we allow you to do is then start going down from the bottom into different dimensions, such as asset class, firm, and territory, and making these same changes on average daily sales and redemption rates going out into the future. So here I've filtered down to just our money market asset class. And maybe I want to override our overall assumption of 300 million in sales and 22% in redemption rates and make that 400 million in average daily sales and a 12% redemption rate. So this lets us go into different dimensions and build as many levels of these changes as we want to then accrue and account for as we build that historical or that future forecast. What's important here is that in the number of clients that I've talked to and the number of people that are doing this type of work today, it's typically done in Excel, as Putnam told us previously. And by doing this in Excel, we're not locking down all the levels, and no one's really quite sure exactly where things changed, where things were updated within the Excel spreadsheet. You can see here for our 2020 net flow assumptions, I have 3 different scenarios that I've marketed. My overall from the top up, or from the top, 300 million again in average daily sales, 22% in redemption rates. But then I have 2 other levels underneath, maybe a firm, maybe Raymond James we expect to do a little better or a little worse. And maybe again, we looked at money market accounts. You can build as many of these levels and keep track of what's actually used to build out the forecast so that when you're analyzing the actual forecasted results, you can always go back in and see what did we actually change based off of our baseline forecast. The other scenario that comes into play here that we allow our clients to focus on is just basic market assumptions. These can be by asset class, by particular funds, a number, again, different dimensions can be used to drill in on. But here what we're saying is take out your economist internally or producing any kind of market data that you may be getting, and we're allowing you to come in and model and say for different asset classes or different funds, here's what we expect just the overall market to do over the coming period that we're going to forecast for. This allows you to not only then say what we're doing baseline on our sales and redemption rates, but go in and say, we also feel that the market's going to move and improve this much. And you can build as many of these market assumptions, a high growth, just a baseline, a low growth for any kind of panic, different things in here. And then you can build multiple forecasts within the next step that will then go in and actually allocate the actuals and show you which of your forecasts was most accurate to the actuals as those come in over the time period. Close that. The last piece of functionality within here before I go back into the forecasting module is what we call TOAs. And TOAs are really simply just a way to come in and model that a particular transfer in or transfer out of assets was either has already taken place in the past or will take place in the future. And you want to exclude that money move from any forecasting results. So it may be a huge sell-off by a quick firm. It may be a merger from one firm to another where there was a lot of assets out, but then a lot of assets in. And you don't want that to skew your forecasting results going forward. So this is a way to go in and put in those money market or those money moves and then allocate that down so that you're not taking into consideration these one-time events that may never happen again. So after the users come in and create as many appreciation scenarios, which is the market assumptions, net flow scenarios, again, which are updating the sales and redemption rates, the user can come in here and create a new forecast with any given name, what date they would like to start the forecast from, and what day they would like to end the forecast on, as well as where do you want the AUM to start? Do you want it to be the current AUM? Do you want to manually put in how the AUM is going to start based on what you feel it's going to be in the future if you're starting this forecast out in the future? Or you could actually build a forecast on top of another forecast. So if we have a 2020 forecast that goes through December of 2020, we can then build another 2021 forecast that actually takes the same assumptions and the same redemption rates and go into 2021 and build on that as well. So it's going to take off where the 2020 forecast actually left off. And then you select which appreciation scenarios and which net flow scenarios you'd like to use that you've previously built into the tool. And only one of these is required. So you just have to have one appreciation or one net flow scenario. At that point, you calculate the forecast and the results come out as we just saw at the beginning of the demo, where you get beginning AUM, sales, redemptions, net, what the market actually did, ending AUM, average AUM, and then we back into our average daily sales and redemption rates based on what you put into the different net flow scenarios on top of what we already accounted for in your actual baseline forecasting. We also within here then give you the ability to drill this down into territory, firm, again, all the different dimensions so you can see this. And all of this data is able to be exported out into Excel or fed into another downstream system, maybe in finance, that you're actually putting in the forecasting results in. And with that, that concludes our demo.
We did get a couple of questions throughout the webinar today that we're going to ask now to close things out here. And the first one, Paul and Julie's directed over at you guys. Can you tell us a little about your experience of getting this product up and running with Delta Data?
Thanks, Jason. It's Paul. I think it's been very positive, much like our implementation in Fee Manager, where we have automated our fees over the last few years. It's been really a minor amount of development that we've had to do to ensure that all of the data required to do this type of analysis is available. And we've worked really hand in hand with your team in terms of building out the tool and having some iterations where we were able to fine tune all of the reporting and the capabilities of the system. So it's really worked out pretty well. We're excited about beginning to really forecast out our sales and our assets in the system.
Yeah, I would just add that it really was a collaborative effort. We had a vision, and by working with the people at Delta, we were able to turn that vision into a reality. And so, I thought it was a very effective partnership.
Great, thanks for that answer. And then the last question here in the chat box, Whitfield, is directed over at you. As more customers become involved with this tool, how do you see it evolving in the next 2 to 3 years?
That's a great question. The product roadmap is fairly detailed, and I think that I kind of look at it as almost like an artist mural. What we have today is the baseline tool for using historical metrics to plan out what the next 3, 4, 5 quarters of flows will look like. Given the access of data we have in Delta Data Systems, as well as what we've learned in this process with Putnam about the other data sets that are relevant to providing that complete, rich picture of forecasting, I think you're going to see us come in and add more data to the analysis, and we'll also provide more detail or richness of the picture we can paint. So just like that artist mural, I think we can tell what it is today, and it does a good job evoking what the forecast will look like. But I think that we will continue to follow the lead of our clients on the other relevant data sets that need to be brought in to provide that extra level of detail and that extra level of insight. Those are kind of the first immediate things in the next 2 to 3 quarters that we're after. As more clients join the tool, we plan to continue to deliver large chunks of capability over the next year, year and a half. So we're in no way to a point where we're, crossing the finish line, ready to put our pens down. I think we're just at that cusp of, hey, this is a great tool and it's a great start, but there's a vivid future out in front of us on where we're going with it. Well, if there's no other questions, I think we can wrap this up today. And I wanted to tell both Paul and Julie how much I appreciate their time, and not just today, but helping guide us on how to build a tool that fits a need in the market and a need at one of our clients. And we hope that you've seen our other clients on this demo and prospects see how this tool could help them. And we look forward to building the community of IntelliCaster users so that we can achieve that really great tool as the future is realized.
Thanks, everyone.